Hey, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Them Brothers from Inglewood podcast. I'm Hoopy, your host, and it is a joy to be back in the studio. Yes, it's been a while, but I am grateful for the journey and to be here to share with you on today. Before I introduce the subject that we'll be speaking from, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your encouragement. I also want to say thanks to the Coalesce Group for all that you're doing in the youth community pertaining to education, compliance, and ethics. Thank you so much for encouraging our young people and parents to move forward towards your vision and your dreams and your purpose. Thank you so much. Thank you to Fruit Off the Vine Clothing Apparel for our young people, our young girls and young adults. Thank you so much, Christian Camille, for your vision and for your efforts, allowing us to partner with you at this time. And we are encouraged by what you're doing to raise and to encourage self-esteem and purpose in our youth. Thank you so much. And to you, our listening audience, thank you so much. We're going to ask that you would like, subscribe, and share this content as we come to you in this hour. And there are so many things that I would like to share today, but I just don't have the time and I'm not at liberty to do so. But I want to talk today, if you will, from the subject of creativity. Creativity. I know that we've heard this many times in our lives. We've actually indulged in it and we found ourselves being creative in various areas of our life. And I was encouraged to really talk about this and speak to this after speaking to a few people over these few months. And then recently I ran into I would call him a serious public figure in the person of Rick Ross. And it was just so encouraging to see him, and I got to talk with him very briefly pertaining to some of the things that we're seeing in the media and some of the TV docs, such as that one episode that I guess it wasn't just an episode, it was a series that took place for the last few months from the Hulu channel. And I just briefly shared with him that I thought the story was about him. I thought that they didn't tell it right. I know no one can tell it like he can. And he told me that he is working on a project. He wasn't at liberty to go into detail, but he did say, this is a quote from Rick Ross, that he's glad that they didn't tell his story right, so he has an opportunity to share his own story. And nobody can share it like him. And we know about his urban legend, and I'm not glorifying anything that breaks the law or things that are not right. I'm not saying that it was a good thing pertaining to what he had to experience, but I am saying that he was able to pay debt to society. He's able to move forward and recondition his life, and he's doing a lot of positive things. So I don't want to make this episode totally about Mr. Rick Ross, but I do want to say that he encouraged me, or I was inspired to talk about this subject after running into him. I believe it was just as early as yesterday. And it was just really encouraging to see him and listen to him briefly as we did. There was also another person who has comprised a great deal of content and has put together businesses in the fitness industry. He has been a superior athlete most of his life. His children were a part of the athletic and sports industry, as well as players and collegiate student athletes. And I just thought that he and I, as we shared briefly in conversation, really, really encouraged me to look a little bit deeper. And then looking at him over these years, because I consider him a mentor. He was a great inspiration to me as I grew up and tried to hone my skill. I saw him as someone that I could not only pattern my game behind, but I saw his ability and his style and approach to playing. And it really, I felt my game resembled his game in a lot of senses. And so I just want to say thanks to him for the things that he is currently doing right now, to him and his wife, for they have also partnered in a lot of ways to bring us fitness. And that person is the person, Anthony Blue Sr. and Kim Blue. And we just want to say thanks to the things that you're doing. Now, from the component of creativity, we have to understand that we all have gifts and talents. We all have ability. God has given each of us a gift. Many of us have multiple gifts that we have discovered. I think there are a lot of people with multiple gifts, but they haven't discovered them. And sometimes it takes courage, sometimes it takes diligence, but at the end of the day, God did not leave you without ability. He did not leave you without talent. And so when I think of creativity, I think of passion. I think of purpose. I think of meaning and contribution. Whereas it can be to society, it could be to your community, it could be to your family, it could be to a friend, but you have a contribution to make. And the crazy thing that I'm learning and I'm finding out is that we, as urban Americans, I can say this because I'm a black man and I've been black all my life, but it just seems as though, and I'm not speaking to ostracize our community. I'm not trying to down our race, culture, custom, anything like that. I'm just hoping to encourage us to work with us, to care, to love, to be compassionate towards us, to share with us. We have been the largest consumer for maybe 400 years, even though we as a race statistically seem to live beneath the poverty line. And we, of course, have gone through so many different things from our ancestry up until now. But I think it's time that we come face to face with ourselves, that we as a people should recognize the dysfunction, recognize the division, recognize the hate, the unforgiveness, the anxiety. A lot of these things that we practice are simply setting us back, holding us back, and causing us not to succeed as a race. I can hear somebody saying now, like, oh, here we go, he's playing the race card, and he's talking against us, and that's why the other ethnicities and races look down on us. No, it's not that I'm putting anybody down in our community. I'm just trying to encourage us to work together. I'm trying to encourage the young people. I work with youth quite a bit. I've worked with young people and in the sports community industry most of my adult life. And I've been a big part of sports, and it taught me a lot of things. I was even told by my sons when they were much younger. They're still young, but they were much younger, and they used to always say, well, Dad, you always reference sports in some kind of way, or you always talk about sports. And I tried to help them understand at an early age that sports and ministry saved my life. Sports taught me and reinforced a lot of things that I learned from their grandparents, from their great grandparents. It taught me discipline. It taught me focus. It taught me determination, dedication. It taught me how to work with others. It taught me how to be a team player. It taught me how to partner. It really taught me how to get through adversity, to work hard. It taught me ethics. That is a discipline that I will never forget because it has taught me how to survive in many aspects of life. And of course, ministry, that I'm a big part of ministry. Ministry is a big part of me. I consider ministry as service. I don't look at ministry as religion. It's a service. I love to serve people. I don't mind serving. I don't mind sharing. I don't mind giving. And so these are two major components in my life that caused me to find my purpose. I found my purpose many years ago. A lot of times it didn't translate into finances or economic wealth. It didn't translate that way, but I've been fulfilled. I've been I don't like to use the word satisfied because I feel like there's always room to improve, but I've learned to be content. I've learned to value things that money can't buy. Things and materials are great. I believe we all deserve it. I believe we all want it. I believe we all actually need it. It's nothing wrong with accumulating wealth. There's nothing wrong with having things, nice homes, vacations, the ability to invest. It's nothing wrong with that. I believe God wants us all to prosper, be in health, as our soul prospereth. So there's balance to our lives. And so today with being creative, it really starts with, I would say, discovery. We have to discover what our talents are, what our gifts are, what our abilities are. And once we discover what that is, we're supposed to develop it. We're supposed to take those gifts and those talents and we are to enhance them. We're to work on them. Some we have to become more educated, informed. And I'm not speaking of degrees and having, initials by your name. And that's great. If you're striving to accomplish academic excellence, that's wonderful because I believe education is for us all. College, trade schools, things of that nature has been made available for us to enhance our lives. And I just believe there's a writer, he's deceased now, but I listened to so many of his presentations and I've read some of his books. And the late Dr. Miles Monroe is just very encouraging. Listening to some of the things that he discussed from topic to practical application, it's simply remarkable. But yet it's simple. And I'm learning that creativity happens within. Creativity happens with our belief system, with our confidence. And so for you to excel in the things that you desire to excel in, you're going to have to discover what those things are. And you're going to have to, one by one, step by step, develop those things and incorporate. I would say incorporate those things with that one thing that you want to do. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever you believe is your divine purpose. The other gifts and talents will be incorporated into that so that you could go even further. And so African Americans, people of color, we are in history. It's documented as it relates to what we have achieved over these low many years. We have been inventors. We have created and we have made opportunity for others to enjoy. We didn't always get the credit for it. We weren't always documented with it, but it happened. And some will say, well, how do you know it happened if it wasn't documented? Well, it was taken and documented in someone else's name. But we know as we got down to the origin of the truth that it was inventors who were people of color. They weren't just male in gender, they were female also. And I could go into a few names and just begin to talk about some of their inventions, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. What I'm actually saying is that we need to harvest our crops or harvest our success and share it. We need to come together as a people and we need to help one another. We need to encourage one another. We need to be supportive of one another. And we'll see our young people see what we're doing and catch that vision and begin to develop it within their generation. You have to understand, those of you who are 50 years of age and above, we're really at the third quarter of our lives. We're really at the midpoint of our lives. It would be a blessing to get beyond the 70+ that was promised to us. However, every day is a day that we have to live to the fullest because tomorrow is not promised. And so I just believe that if we accept the charge, accept the challenge to empower someone. I know a lot of times we play favoritism. We only want to help our relatives. We only want to help our family. We only want to help those that we like and those that we're, familiar with and things of that nature. But I just believe that you should help where help is needed. Yes, you should use wisdom. You should apply that with knowledge and understanding. But at the end of the day, if someone is hungry and you have the means and you have the ability to feed them, then you should feed them. Whatever transpired in their lives, what brought them to that place, what type of individual they might be, maybe they don't deserve it. Maybe they have robbed, stole, and hurt people all of their lives. And now they're sitting on their ankles asking for help, to be fed, to be, given water, whatever the case may be. I just believe we have to do the right thing at the right time because that's what God requires of us. And I can just hear people saying now, well, I don't believe in God. I don't believe there is a God. If there was a God, why would certain things happen? Well, that's your prerogative as it relates to where your faith is, what you choose to believe. I'm not here to criticize anyone. I'm not here to knock anyone. I'm just saying that it's good and it's nice to be nice. And so as I bring this segment to a close, I want to say the primary application of creativity is to actually do it, to discover, find out what it is, be creative, and allow your mind, allow your skill to develop, to come into fruition so that you can make a contribution to society, to your community, to your family. I believe that that's our reasonable service. I think, lastly, there are so many people in entrepreneurship. Well, they have made a choice or made a decision to go into business for themselves. And they've taken on a high risk. It's not easy being an entrepreneur, but it's very rewarding because you're doing something that not only fulfills you, but it is a service. You are serving people and you're taking the bulk of the responsibility. I believe that we should do business with good ethics. We should do business and treat others like we want to be treated. I believe that we should be supportive. There are so many black businesses, black entrepreneurs, black creators, and yet we are not going to we're not actually patronizing them. We're going to other vendors. We're going to other brands. We're just filtering our dollars and we're not recycling them. We're not being supportive. We're not building up our communities where we live, where we want to shop, where we want to eat. When I was a boy many years ago, I saw black businesses. I saw restaurant owners. They most of them were called cafes. They were great coffee and breakfast spots. Food was outstanding. Service was outstanding. And our people were gathered in there. They were supporting this. In the early 60s, late 50s, there were African American men and couples. They owned gas stations. You know, they owned different types of hardware stores. They owned corner markets. They owned they didn't really call them liquor stores back in the they always had liquor stores, but we had something that was very similar to a family oriented business. And we did business with one another, and I believe that God has given us the creativity, the talent, the gifts to blossom even in this system, even in the Americas, and that we would get behind one another, that we would support the educators, those that teach. I feel so bad that all my years of going to college and dropping out of college and going back to college to obtain my degree and things of that nature, I used to always say, I don't never want to teach. I don't never want to be a teacher. Oh man, I wouldn't be a teacher. And that was really silly of me. That was shallow of me, because I was actually going to be educated, but yet at the same time, I said I didn't want to educate. And what I realized, the late mother, Crawford Poole, she always told me, she said, well, son, you are a teacher. You say that you don't want to teach, but you are a teacher. You've been teaching for a very long time. You're a coach. You're a mentor. You're a father. You're a brother. You're a friend. So you've been teaching all this time. So never say that you don't want to be a teacher. And I think my point is that I was so discouraged for teachers who are certified, certificated, that have their credential, and then we don't pay them. We don't pay them their worth. They're patient with our kids. They've been patient with us. Yeah, we have a few teachers that we probably didn't like, but at the same time, they were getting up out of their beds, leaving their homes, coming to schools, especially where most of us were educated in the inner city, and they had to deal with some of the psychological challenges that we were having, some of the challenges in our culture that they didn't understand. It was an array of things that was taking place that we didn't quite recognize that was happening in that day. And so hopefully I said a few things that will create enough concern for us to work with us and build our communities. There are people, and I got to close with this, but there are people who have started an enterprise. They're at ground level one. They need our help. They need our support. They need to get the word out. They need to bring exposure to their brand. What's wrong with us who know people who are striving? And you may be on social media in a way to where you have multiple followers, but yet you won't put other people's content on your platform purposely, but yet you see your brand on other people's platform because people are actually using your brand as a means of saying, hey, I'm going to support this person. But you won't put them on your brand or on your platform. So it goes two ways, and we have to really look further into it. We also have to look at our relationships. Can you truly say that you have sound relationships, that you have sound people in your life that's around you, that's in your circle, that's in your community? What does those people say about you? What does those people think about you? Does it matter? Should we care? I believe we should care from a fundamental standpoint. You should care if you wrong someone and you did not apologize and you left it open to where you can be criticized, you can be ridiculed. Am I saying that that's just cause? No, because we shouldn't run down anybody. We shouldn't lie. We shouldn't talk negative. We shouldn't, put people on the highway because we're having a difference. We should go to that person. And sometimes people don't want to they don't want to talk to you. You go to them, they don't want to talk. That's, and there's nothing you can do. But sometimes you have to just say, hey, I'm sorry for everything I've done. I'm sorry for you feeling a certain way. And you got to let it go. You got to move on. If you're truly sorry and you're repentant in that fashion, then it's no longer on you. You can't make anybody forgive you. Forgiveness is really for us. The person that's asking for forgiveness is for you. You cannot make someone forgive you. You cannot make someone forget. And it's up to us to be creative enough to incorporate others into our lives, into our circle. Some situations you really do have to walk away from. Some energies and attitudes or whatever, it's not conducive for positivity. I get that, but we still have to love. We still have to support. I got to end with this. I know I said it earlier, but I must end with this. When I was a boy, my brothers and I, we were taught to always have each other's back, to support, to get along. Of course, we didn't always agree. We weren't always on the same page as it related to whatever the conflict was. But at the end of the day, we had to be there for each other. My mom taught us if one get into it, everybody got to get into it. And so with that being said, we had to learn how to bury the hatchet, how to forgive. A lot of times it's hard to forget, but when you let it go, eventually it becomes a distant memory. It shouldn't be as effective. It should never be effective in a negative way after, a period of time that you have really released this. I believe God will lift that off of us when we do so. So, thank you so much for being with us today. It has been a complete pleasure to share and be back in the studio once again. I'm going to go live in a few moments and see if we can kind of, briefly go over this. But I want you to like, subscribe, and share Them Brothers from Inglewood podcast. I have a slew of invitees that we'll be bringing into the studio this month as of May 2nd 2023. We're going to really bring some subjects and some features that I believe you will be encouraged by. So thank you again. This episode has come to a close, and we're going to sign off and say thank you once again. And remember, creativity is in you. It's all purposeful, and it's in you because God gave it to you before the foundations of the world. Thank you so much. We don't own the rights to this music, but we're going to definitely enjoy it. And thank you again so much. Take care. God bless.